All right, welcome back to another edition of Who You Got. I'm Greg, he's Jimmy. If it's your first time joining us, you like what you hear, do us a favor, hit that follow, subscribe button for us, give us a like. If you're joining us again, we appreciate you coming back to hang out with us as we dive into the world of sports and give you some of our best bets for the upcoming week and our takes on some of the things going on in the world of sports. Remember to follow us, as it says on the bottom of the screen now if you're watching us, on X and Instagram, and now our new YouTube channel at Whoyagot33. If you check out the YouTube channel again, please subscribe for us. You can also check out the KC Sports Authority YouTube channel. They'll put up some of our content along with theirs, and they provide excellent content, so check them out as well. All right, Jimmy, I never know how I'm going to open the show. I really don't. I never know where it's going to go. I never know what I want to start with. But my God, man, you're just content. You just produce so much content for the show. I got to thank you. So Jimmy got caught in a storm and stayed at one of our friends' houses. And our friend Ryan was nice enough to tell me, Jimmy, how in the world have you never seen Animal House?
Well, here's the good news. I've now seen Animal House.
Right. But how?
Took one off the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thanked Ryan for doing that for us. But how on earth have you gone 44 years, born in 1981, and not seen that movie?
So here's my suspicion after watching it. Likely, I wasn't allowed to watch it when I was a kid, given the content in it. And then by the time I was old enough to watch it, I'm like, this movie was from the 70s. Like, what do I need to see it for? But now that I'm older, I realize the mistake of my ways, and I'm glad I went and rectified it. So yeah, I've now seen Animal House. I understand, and it was excellent.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life.
Great line.
Mr. Hoover, president of Delta House.
What I thought was interesting is it's shot in 78, but it takes place in, like, I don't know, the 60s, the 50s.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic.
That's even funnier, yeah.
But it's my favorite part is the dean when he's like, Mr. Hoover, president of Delta House, 1.6. Yeah. 4 C's and an F. Fine example you set.
Yeah, pretty good.
Daniel Simpson Day has no grade point average. All classes incomplete. Mr. Blutarski, 0.0.
A Belushi.
My favorite scene.
Yeah, it's very good. Glad I watched it. I'm going to continue to knock off classics that I've missed as I've gone. I've got a few weeks to go till we're fully immersed in the NFL, and my movie watching will certainly take a hit. So I've got a few weeks to pack a few in here.
I'm just happy you'll now know the reference of 0.0 because I say it all the time when you ask me about things, and that's why.
Now it makes sense.
But now I'm going to use this to segue into how I was going to open the show. Based on your movie watching ability, I'm going to guess the answer is no. But did you see Happy Gilmore 2 yet?
No, I did start watching it late night. So I watched the first, call it 30 minutes. I'm going to go back and finish it this weekend. So I will get through the full Happy Gilmore. But I've heard, and I'm interested because you haven't told me what you thought of it yet. I've heard mixed reviews, but I have a couple friends that said it was excellent. They loved it.
I thought it was fantastic. It did the franchise justice. It had a ton of cameos. The golfers were awesome. And I can't believe what I'm about to say, but it's coming out of my mouth. I have done, and you've heard me on this podcast, I have done a 180 thanks to that movie on Scotty Scheffler. He is now one of my favorite guys. He is hysterical, and he finally showed a personality, and now I'll be rooting for the guy. The guy's awesome. Wait to see him.
I want to see it. Now you're making me want to see it more.
He's fantastic. He stole the show.
All right. I like it. Yeah. I heard the cameos were never ending in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Xander's pretty funny too in it. So the golfers did a really good job, I got to say, but Scotty stole the show. He was freaking awesome.
Yeah, I guess one of his kids was a professional wrestler. I didn't realize that. I obviously saw enough of the movie to see his children, but I guess one of them's a pro wrestler in real life.
One of whose?
One of Sandler's kids in the movie.
Oh, Sandler. Yeah.
I did not know that.
I was gonna say I don't think Scotty's is. I think
no, I don't think so. Scotty's 28 going on 62. So, but
it's true. But he did a great job. He made fun of himself. He wasn't uptight. It was great.
That's good.
Yeah, I think you're gonna enjoy when it gets deeper in the movie and Scotty really starts to shine. I watched it with my wife. She wasn't thrilled that they killed off his wife from the first movie. She didn't really understand. I tried to explain to her. It kind of sets up the plot, but she wasn't happy they killed her off. But hey, I thought it was good. I recommend it as a watch. The other thing I recommend as a watch, if you haven't seen it and anyone's a fan, even if you're not a fan, go check out the Billy Joel doc on HBO Max. It's a 2-part. It's about 5.5 hours. It's fantastic. Fantastic. You don't even realize how great this guy is until you watch that.
Yeah, I believe it. He has a lot of commentary about his classical piano. I know I didn't see this doc, but I've heard enough Billy Joel interviews, especially around here, because Long Island, Billy Joel. We're talking about some of his biggest hits were like Piano Man was basically a waltz that he wrote, and
Yeah.
somehow it became a pop. Yeah, like a top charts. So that's unbelievable. That's really interesting in and of itself.
It's it's all in the doc. And I didn't know, like his last album he wrote in 94, his last song, Famous Last Words, he knew that was going to be the last song he would ever write in his life.
That's awesome.
He was done.
He's the only person to have a residency at Madison Square Garden, basically.
Yeah, he's also, and think about that. He never wrote another song after 94, and he's relative 30 years past that. Crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I was lucky enough to see Piano Wars early 2000s in Hartford when it was him and Elton John, one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I bet that was awesome. Yeah.
Fantastic. And they show that a little bit during the doc. But definitely worth it. I brought it up because I'm sure in our age group, we had a lot of Billy Joel fans. Definitely worth the investment in time. All right, on to sports, though, why we're all here. First story kind of caught my eye. Shannon Sharp out at ESPN. You see it? Thoughts?
I did. I saw he had a video, made mention of, like, I think he wanted to stick around until his brother got into the hall. Wasn't that one of his main complaints or one of his main issues?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of my take here. I think it's a dick move by ESPN. Like, announce it next week. Is it really going to hurt you to wait a week? Let Sterling have his moment. Don't overshadow it with Shannon headlines. And I think Shannon has every right to be annoyed.
Yeah, he's been suspended for what, like 4 months or a few months?
No, he's out.
Yeah, but he was suspended for like
right. Yes, exactly.
Months. Yeah, he's been suspended for a few months anyway. Like, why did it have to come down at this exact moment? Right? They could have done it 3 weeks ago, or they could have done it 3 weeks from now when it wouldn't have made a difference. I'm sure he wasn't suspended with pay. I could be wrong about that. Maybe they were paying him while he was suspended. They just needed to they didn't want to waste any more money. But yeah, no, I tend to agree with him. I'd probably be a little aggravated. Do you ever watch his podcast, Club?
Yeah, he's got 2. He's got Nightcap too, right?
I've never watched that, but I like that. Yeah, he does really good interviews. They're long, they're in depth. I mean, he's created kind of his own niche there, and he's got his own channel, so I'm sure he'll be okay, and that'll continue to thrive. But yeah, it's odd. It's just odd timing by ESPN.
Yeah, terrible timing, and he's been a good addition to ESPN. They could have done better by him.
Yeah, I mean, the things that he did that got him fired are what they are. I won't comment on any of that. From a broadcasting perspective, I actually liked Shannon's takes a lot. I thought he was pretty fair. I thought he had great insight from playing the game for years, and I'll miss that. But it, is what it is. If he was going to get termed, which he obviously was going to, they could have had better timing on it.
I agree. And yeah, it was, like Jimmy said, his podcasts are great. So it's another one. If you like interviews, he does a great job. All right. Speaking of the Sharps, Sterling, did you watch him when we were growing up, when he was a Packer? Did you get to see much of Sterling?
No, I don't remember Sterling playing well. I mean, I obviously watched football pretty consistently at the time. The Browns, when he played, were relevant. So but I can't tell you I remember watching Sterling play consistently. Who was his quarterback at the beginning of his career there?
That's a great question. I can't remember who was before Favre.
I know, and I didn't look it up, and I should have, but Ryan and I were debating this last night. Like, no, Favre was there at the end, but he wasn't there at the beginning. It was 88. So yeah, I don't know who was, and they've had 3 quarterbacks since then. So I don't remember who preceded Favre.
Dan Majkowski.
Oh yeah. Why didn't I remember that? But of course it's.
Let's see. I don't know if he made it the whole time that Shannon was there, because I've never heard of him. No, he did not make it the whole. He did. He went 87 to 92.
And so Favre had him 93, 94. Got it. Yeah. No, I don't remember it well. Do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember watching Sterling play?
I remember him in his last season, those 2 with Favre, because I was old enough, but I don't. I thought you were talking about our boy here, Donnie at quarterback. Never heard of him. No.
Johnny Ski? No.
Yes, I do remember Sterling in the last couple of years he played with Favre. Absolutely. And he is a absolute Hall of Famer. If he didn't get hurt, I don't know where he would have finished with receivers. He was something. I mean, you couldn't guard.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Like I said, we would have been 12, 13. I obviously watched football closely then, but mainly the Browns. There was also no Sunday ticket or, red zone back then. So unless you got one of the two local games, and we didn't get a lot of Packers games on locally. So I don't really remember watching him play. I can tell you everything you heard after he retired, it was immediately like, it felt not tragic at the time, but everybody knew that this guy's career was cut short and he was one of the greats or would have been one of the greats. So it's cool that he got in. I think they said he's one of only 4 players that played less than 7 years that made the Hall, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, and some of those years were just absolutely dominant. I will tell you where I used him quite a bit, and that was when PlayStation first came out. The first game I got for PlayStation was NFL Game Day in 1995, and I was the Packers a lot. Threw the ball right to Sterling.
Yeah. Makes sense. What about on Tecmo Bowl? Did you just give the ball to Bo Jackson every time?
Every time. I was that guy. I would just be pissed off if I wasn't the Raiders.
Yeah.
Look, the Raiders haven't been good in a lot of things, but in Tecmo Bowl, they're the freaking team to be.
They are the best.
You move your little arrow over to Howie Long on defense and dominate, and then you just hand the ball off the Bo.
Yeah, I would drop.
It's not a terrible thing to have Tim Brown either as a receiver.
No, I would be the Browns, and I would drop Kozar back and throw it to Webster Slaughter deep.
Yeah, when they came out with the one for Super Nintendo, so I'm assuming it was just called Super Tecmo Bowl, where you could actually play a full season, that's when I would play with the Cowboys, and I'd throw deep to Irving every time.
All right, that makes sense. I never went back and played Super Tecmo Bowl. I recently went back and played Super Punch-Out, because there was a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for Super Nintendo that I had never played. It wasn't Tyson's, of course, but Super Punch-Out, fantastic. Found it when I turned 4 years ago when I turned 40, and I'm like, this is great.
That was Super Nintendo.
That was Super Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah, Punch Out, not Tyson's Punch Out, was fantastic too. I mean, it was one of my favorite games.
Yeah, it was absolutely great.
You know the story behind that, right?
After Mike Tyson,
because Tyson didn't want to ever be beat, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't make a video game that no one can ever win, Mike."
So I thought it was after he caught the rape charge, like that's when they took him off of the game.
No, it was a whole thing with him. He didn't want his character to ever be beat, and he was pissed off too. That was part of it, but he was pissed off that you could beat him. And then they turned him into, was it Mr. Dream they called him?
I don't remember Mr. Dream. I just know Sandman became the last guy.
That was in Punch Out or Super Punch Out?
In Punch Out, regular Punch Out. Yeah. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, good times. Good times. All right, MLB trade deadline. What did you think? I mean, who do you think are the winners and the losers of this? I mean, I got some opinions here.
Well, I only pay attention to the kind of the local teams. I know that Seattle traded for Suarez just because he was linked to the Yankees for a while and they didn't pick him up. And I was looking at the odds in Seattle. They're not. I mean, they're down the board a little ways. I think they have the ninth. They're tied for ninth best odds to win it all. So, not sure how much it did for them. The Mets picked up a reliever and a center fielder. Hopefully that helps them out. We'll see. Soto banged a ball off his foot. I didn't check his status today. I don't know how long that could keep him hampered. So they needed some, even if he's not, they just needed some help in the outfield. So I think they were decent moves. They got an okay grade. Yankees picked up a couple of arms. I don't know. I didn't see, nothing else really blew me away other than the guy that got traded in the middle of a doubleheader. They said, hey, we traded you. Head over to the other dugout. And then he went through a couple innings for the other team against his old team in real time.
Yeah, that was the O's and J's. Is that what that was?
It was O's and J's, yeah. And I was outside of Baltimore at the time, so it was on a work trip. It was big news.
Yeah, O's and J's. It happened it wasn't a doubleheader, but it happened in the Rays and Yanks game too, where it traded to the other team. But yeah, can you imagine that after the first game? Manager's like, hey, raise your hand if you're playing in the second game for us. Hey, not so fast, buddy. Hey, I got good news and bad news. Good news, you can keep your number. Bad news, it's not going to say Baltimore anymore. It's going to say Toronto across the front.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how they get the paperwork for that fast. Like, it's tough to get a job anywhere, and it takes 3 days to get on board. How do you pull this off? Like, hey, work there.
Work there. HR forms to come later.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Don't touch anyone inappropriately during this one game. We'll have the HR policies to you next game.
Yeah. Glad. Hey, thanks for giving me some time to find an apartment.
Yeah, it's really funny too. I thought it was cool. Carrera's going home, going back to the Stros, see if we can go on another run here with them. But the Stros did have to eat a bunch of the money, so I think they ate 30 million.
It's a lot of money.
I thought the Phillies did what they needed to do, grabbing the closer from the Twins, so that was good. I agree with you with the Mets. I thought the Mets were active, and they should be because they're in a heated race. So I tip my cap to the Phillies and Mets for actually, trying to improve. And I think the Mets might have just outdone them. I think Cedric Mullins is a huge pickup here. I really think that makes their lineup even scarier. And they strengthened the bullpen. I mean, a little bit. So your team, are you more confident now that they take the division?
Yeah, look, I feel pretty good about them. I was a lot more confident before they lost 3 in San Diego, but they should have won. But they should have won the first game. They were winning, they lost it. I think in the 8th, they gave up the lead. Then they got cooked the next 2. But no, I feel pretty good about the Mets. The fact that they went on that 7-game streak, they went out to San Francisco, took those 3, and Juan Soto. We said it's a long season. He's over the last 30 days. His OPS is over 1,000. Like, he's 12th in the league for the whole season, even with his struggles at the beginning of the year. And like I said, over the last 30 days, he's top 3. So he's starting to come along. They got through that span where they lost 9 out of 10 games. They came back with a streak. Yeah, I think they'll be okay. Like I said, they got a middle reliever. Mendoza has one of the quickest hooks in the league. He pulls his starters really quickly. So they needed some more arms from a relief standpoint. So yeah, I feel good about it, man. I think when you look at this, the Dodgers are still the favorite. But if you listen to, and I've listened to a few different outlets, but the New York radio the most, the Dodgers don't seem to be anywhere near dominant like people thought they were going to be, including myself, with what they had. So I think it's pretty wide open. I think this is the year.
Yeah, the other side of town here, the Yankees, they were very, very active. But my assessment here is I feel like they just threw a bunch of shit at the wall and kind of want to see what sticks. Like, they did a lot of acquisitions, but nothing really blew me away.
No, and I mean, unless there's a big name that's frustrated or that's or whatever the situation is. So a lot of times that doesn't happen. But it is the small moves that matter. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't think so either, though. I don't think the Yankees are just built to win right now. I don't. I think they're always in it, but I don't want to keep repeating myself on these cats. But like, if their bats go cold, they have no chance. They're not pitching. Unbelievable defensive team. They don't have much hit and run action out there. So if they get to the playoffs and they go cold again in a 7-game series, you're going to catch a losing streak. So no, I don't think the Yankees did enough to make me any more confident in them. Right now, the odds of the Yankees and Mets are dead even. They're both plus 850 to win.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And then look, I tip my hat a little bit here to the Reds and the Royals for making a move. I mean, they were pretty active, and they're not throwing the towel in on the season. Royals are 3.5 out of the wild card, and the Reds are right there. They're 3.5 out, but they're the next one behind the Padres. The National League's a bear because they're all good teams. So I don't know if the Reds are going to sneak in, but I think it's great that they have a good team. They have a good young team, and they're making a charge. They're not throwing the towel in. So I give credit to the Reds and Royals for being active. Royals are, let me say that again. The Royals,
they're 3.5 back too.
3.5 back, but they're the 6th team in the wild card standings. So I give them credit. They're 1 game under 500, just like the Guardians. Guardians seem to have kind of thrown the towel in, but the Royals are going for it. And hey, if you like the Royals or you're interested in the Royals, that's what I was saying earlier. Check out that KC Sports Authority YouTube channel. They put a great show on yesterday, really breaking down every move the Royals did. So give them a listen if you want some intel on if you should bet the Royals or not, because good odds right now if you believe they can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The teams, like the Twins, obviously gave up. The Giants, they did nothing. And maybe they don't think that they can catch the Pods. I don't know. Or the Cards. They're 6 out now in the wild card. So maybe they just said, hey, it's a lost year for us. We picked up Devers and nothing happened. The team, and it sucks because it's my team, that really pissed me off here was the Red Sox. They did nothing. They're second in the wild card, and we really did nothing. We picked up Steven Matz, who cares, and and Dustin May, who the Dodgers one who just couldn't make the team pretty much. So we picked up the Dodgers JV squad and a reliever from the Reds. Fantastic. Who cares? Like, terrible job, Boston. And this is the problem. I don't have a problem with you saying, hey, I like the squad we have if you're in first place and if you're crushing it. But when you're in a wild card fight, it's just the optics. And they are going to get crushed, Jimmy, in the media if this team doesn't make the playoffs now. It's going to come right back down to what did you do on July 1st? Why is this guy the general manager? Get him the F out of town. He's going to take a pounding if this team doesn't make the playoffs. I'm telling you that right.
You're probably right. I mean, like you said, they must like the team that they have. They've, like, addition by subtraction, with Devers left, they got better. They're still playing well now. Even they're not on their crazy win streak like they were, but they're still playing good baseball. To your point, the run differential is still really solid. So, I mean, maybe that's what they think, but you're right. I mean, if they don't make it, they're going to look, the Boston media is going to crush them. They're going to look back at this time and say, look, you were outperforming your season. You had a chance to add a couple pieces to ensure that you got where you needed to go in a season that was almost looked like it was going to be a down year after we made that trade, weren't playing well early. And we did nothing. So we wasted a golden opportunity.
I agree. And then the other team I just kind of wrote a note down about is the Brewers, because they just make me laugh every year because you just can never guess what this team's going to do. They did nothing, but you know what? I'm not even going to question them because every time this organization makes a move, it seems to be the right one. So the Brewers must like what they have. I think it's going to be a dogfight between them and the Cubs all the way in.
Yeah, this is when baseball starts to get exciting. When we get closer and closer to with the pennant chase really coming down. What do we have? About 50 games left, roughly. Yeah, so I mean, this
is 60. We got 2 months, so between 50, depending on your team.
Yeah, this is when it gets really, really interesting and it gets fun to watch. So, yeah, this is the best time. It's not the best time of year for sports. It's very, very close when we get everything all at once, and there's no lack of things to talk about.
Listen to this stat. I wrote this down. I'll give credit here. I heard it on VSiN. This is crazy. So 80% of NBA favorites win the 7-game series. So if you go into the series a favorite, 7 games and you're an NBA team, you win at an 80% clip. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to yield the same results in the NHL, you'd have to play a best of 51. Okay? If you wanted to yield the same results in Major League Baseball, you'd have to play a best of 75. That's the parity in baseball and the randomness of the results. Really, it really just kind of hammers home 2 things for me. In hockey, it's almost like who got the hot goaltender. In baseball, they say it all the time. You're only as good as your next day's starter.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And, since our heated debate over the NBA and NHL, my point, I think in the NBA, with shorter rosters in a 7-game series, usually the best talent wins, right? The people that can shoot the most. I liken it to tennis, where we kind of know who we're going to get in the finals, even though there's field, because they're just better. And every now and you get a breakthrough. Where hockey reminds me of golf, where yes, there's certainly the best team, but at any given day, somebody can get hot and take you out. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. The goalie, and then you're starting pitching. And then if you have the combination of starting pitching and your best players just so happen to be in the slump from a hitting perspective, now you're just getting hammered. And that's when it's a quick series. And in a league where you play 162 games, I mean, yeah, there's so many peaks and valleys over the course of a season, right? It's who gets, to me, baseball is who gets, who gets hot at the right time. Basketball, I think it doesn't matter as much, because at the end of the day, as long as there's cohesion on the team, the top talent is going to end up winning it. Football is kind of the same. Who gets hot in the second half of the season? There are times where you like the Chiefs, where they were good all year and they go on to win, but they've also been beat at the right time. The Giants beating the Patriots, where they got hot, and both of the Giants teams were wild card teams, got hot at the right time and made the run. So it can happen in football, but it's kind of a different thing because it's a single game, right? Anybody can beat anybody.
I'd love to see I'm sure it's AI technology that spits this out with simulated games. I'd love to know what that would be in the NFL. I wonder if it's a best of 3, best of 5, best of 7 that would get you 80% of the favorites getting through. Because when you watch the NFL playoffs, yeah, it's kind of randomized, but there's times where it's chalky too. I'd be interested to know that stat. And I go back to, that's why I think March Madness, the NCAA men's, and you could throw the women's is not, the parity's not there yet, but the men's tournament is still the hardest championship to win in sports, in my opinion, because It's 6 single elimination games.
And you can say that the top seeds, if they were series, would probably almost always end up just like
Always.
the NBA, right? But when
Agree.
it's a single, how many times have we saw? And I don't know the stat, but it certainly happens where the favorite loses game one and they still come back and win the 7-game series, because over the course of time, the better team generally is going to win. But any given game, it could certainly go the other way. But speaking of the NBA, Knicks have moved up to like the 5 in the power rankings. And they have the 5th shortest odds to win. It seems like we had talked about the Eastern Conference, where would we see anybody ending up, that this really. And in the Cavs too, who's also a team I follow, Cleveland, that I follow. They have the top odds in the East. It's their year, because Halliburton's coming back healthy the following year. It's kind of an off year for Indiana. If Boston doesn't make a run for it, they're getting Tatum back. They're going to be real. Detroit's just going to get better in 2 years. Orlando's getting better. Like, this is the year that one of the two teams that I root for needs to pull it off. Like, this is the year they're, and I'm not saying they're going to. A lot can happen during the season. I like the addition of Jordan Clarkson for the Knicks. They just extended Bridges, but this is the year they have to figure it out. The Knicks dropped. This is interesting why I bring this up. The Knicks dropped. They were at the time above Cleveland. They dropped when they hired their coach, which is wild. So he's going to have to prove that, this whole letting go of Thibodeau, bringing Mike Brown in, he's going to really have to prove out that he was worth the chance here.
All right, talk to me, though. Hey, going back to your movie knowledge, would you know what I was talking about if I said talk to me, Goose, or no?
Yeah, Top Gun.
Oh, good. Have you ever seen it, or you just know the reference?
I've seen the first one. I've seen parts of the new one.
Oh, God, you got to see Maverick. It's another one where the second movie did justice to the franchise. My God, this guy. All right, anyways. Would you bet it, though? Do you think there's really value on plus 250 or plus 300? Because I'll tell you right now who my top plays in the East would be. I would not bet either of those teams.
Who do? No, I don't. Probably not. Probably not. I probably wouldn't, because I'm still too nervous about both of them. New York struggles at the wrong time of year. Maybe Mike Brown will keep I'm sure he will not play the starters as much as Thibodeau did. He'll develop the bench, and hopefully they'll come in more fresh and be injury free. The Cavs just find a way to fall through in the playoffs. So I don't think 250 and 300 is quite enough.
I completely agree. If I'm betting the Knicks, because I do think the Knicks are better than the Cavs, I'm betting the Knicks to win it all. I'm getting plus 850. That I can live with. But if I'm putting a ticket in, and I'm look who's talking, you know what I'm going to. I'm going to obviously bet it. I will be betting the Sixers at 10-1 for value. If Embiid and the team stays healthy, I think at 10-1 there's value there. And then the home run, I think, on the board here is the Pistons 17.
I agree. I like the Sixers play, because I think they're also desperate. They need to. If this doesn't work this year, then they're probably going to have to completely they're going to have to blow it up somehow, because they can't. What happened last year can't happen again. I love Maxey. I think he's a fantastic player. Embiid is great when he's healthy, but he's never healthy. They've got to put this together. So I think at 10-1, because based on what they could be, is a decent bet. I like the Pistons bet. I don't think it's a bad line at 17-1. I think they're still 2 years away. I think there's a very good chance they're going to beat New York or Cleveland and end up in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I don't know that they have the experience yet to win the Eastern Conference Finals. So to make it, I think that there's a reasonable chance that the Pistons could be that team. And you see, like, people think highly. I mean, Orlando with this Desmond Bane move really moved up the board. It's amazing how much that really had an impact on their odds.
Yeah, the value isn't there for me now. And I kick myself because, as you know, I'm a big VSiN guy. I listen to VSiN all the time. And there was a guy toting the Magic before that saying, hey, take a shot on them. They were 30-1. Now they're what, plus 550?
Yeah. Not nearly enough value there. I agree with you completely, though, on the finals. That's what I would do. I would say take the Knicks if you were going to bet them, and take the 850 on winning it all. Apparently they really like the moves that Denver made after Denver made basically no moves or bad moves for a few years. I like the Westbrook move. I thought that was a good move for them last year, and it helped. But they brought Bruce Brown back. They swapped what's his name for Cam Johnson with the Nets, and on paper, Michael Porter Jr., it doesn't look like there's a ton of an upgrade, but there is. And they saved money, so they were able to still Valanciunas. So they have a true big man to come in when Jokic isn't in. So I think Denver at plus 750 is actually a decent play. I wouldn't bet OKC at 260. That's way too short, even though they're great. But I think Denver back in the mix because of those moves would be something to look at.
Yeah, and look, people might be listening going, why are these guys talking about the NBA right now? It's always good to touch on the sports when they're in their off season because you get value right now. And I agree, 750 on Denver, pretty good. I might look at them in the conference. I know it's a little shorter at let's see, what's their conference odds, Jimmy? Their conference is plus 550. That's not bad either. But I'm going to tell you a bet I really, really like. I know this line's moving. I got a pretty good number here. Let's see if DraftKings has them posted. They don't right now, I don't think. I'm looking for season wins, but they don't have it up right now. Oh, here it is. Wins. Team wins. Let's go. So I got a better number. I got 63.5 minus 110. I love OKC under 62.5 wins. Love it. Love it. Coming off a championship, you get a little lethargic. They will not win 62 games. They'll win 58, 59.
I like it. Yeah.
It fell. I got 63.5 actually, minus 110. I made a play on it right after the season.
Yeah, I like it. They're going to get everybody's best shot next year too. That's a real thing, right? When the champs come into town, you get up for the game. So I like it. Yeah, I mean that's 62 and 63 and 19 would be one hell of a season to follow up what they just did. It's not impossible they did it, but I would take the under there. What number did you get on it?
I got 63.5 minus 110. So the record you just threw out, I'm a winner at. So
yeah,
I think they're going to lose 20 plus games myself.
Yeah, and that's still a great year, and they'll still probably be the 1 seed, right? So
they could be the 3 seed next year. Who knows? But again, I always like that hangover. Like I'll tell you right now, everyone, and we're going to get in the NFL in a minute here. I'll be betting Dallas week 1 with the points. I always do it. I always go for the Super Bowl hangover. I always take that road team getting the points when they're hanging the banner. And I think it's a great angle. But before we jump into the NFL, Jimmy, it would just be weird if we didn't address it. So we're just going to bring it up real quickly. UFC, you're not a huge fan of the card, you said. Is this one of the freebies?
Yeah, there's a free card this weekend. It's a good card. There's nothing I really like from a betting perspective, though. Like, if you really like a fighter on this card, you can get most of them and not have to parlay it. There's a lot of that we talk about, the plus or minus. There's some 185, so it's not a bad card from that perspective. So I try to dig in, but I don't love anything. I thought about throwing out Neil Magny versus Dos Santos, but I don't trust either of these guys, to be honest with you. So I think if I was going to bet it, I'd probably go Magny because you get plus 155 on him. But I just think it's a flip of the coin. And there's really nothing else I love. We've got a fight card coming up next week. There's a couple fights that I'm going to want to talk about. And then in a couple weeks, we've got a really good pay-per-view with the middleweight belt on. So we'll do a full breakdown of that on that particular week. So yeah, DDP is fighting, and it's one of the it's not one of the first times. Kayla Harrison was a big favorite, and just recently, but this is one of those where the champ's going to be the dog, and I'm probably going to be all over the champ, but I'm going to continue to make up my mind on it.
I'll throw this out and get your opinion real quick. One of the guys I follow who's pretty good at the UFC here likes Duncan plus 180. That's his underdog of the week.
Yeah, he's fighting Rebecca. They're both 2 lost guys. It's plus 180 minus 220. Like, those are the matches where if you like a guy, then yeah, take him, right? And if you really were on the other side of it, lay the 220. It's not too much in the fight if you really believe in him. What Greg's point had been before on this is, don't put anything that's minus 220 in a parlay because that kills parlays, right?
Death.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's it. Hey, if he likes it, I'll do a little more research. I don't know these 2 fighters extremely well. Of course, like I said, I looked over the card and did a little bit of research and couldn't come up with an angle that I liked, but maybe we'll dive into that and look at Duncan plus 180.
Yeah, follow us on X, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, at Whoyagot 33, and look for the picks. We'll post some. We're going to get better at posting them every day. We've been a little better, but we're trying to get you a play or 2 a day here. Speaking of that, NFL, time to go over there. That's the king, right? Rice got his sentence finally. They settled. He's getting 5 years probation, 30 days in the can. It's got to be great to be an athlete because he gets to pick when he serves those 30 days over the next 5 years.
Well, how is that possible?
I have no clue. You get a great lawyer. That's how.
Yeah.
Do you now? Where do you, the only reason I brought this up is where do you now grade him fantasy wise? As we are really, you obviously we've talked about on the show. I've been drafting for months, but you're going to start getting into your drafts coming soon. And where do you now feel comfortable taking him? Because you don't know what the NFL. We haven't heard a suspension yet, but you know it's coming. We don't know how many games it's going to be. What do you do now?
Well, my assumption, I have not heard anything from, because I'm sure we can find an ESPN show or a Fox Sports show or somewhere where they have predicted what this usually entails. Have you heard anything about that? Because I haven't.
4 to
What do they
6.
think? 4 to
4
6.
to 6 with an appeal is usually where you wind up.
Yeah. So this is my thought. If I was in a traditional league, I would probably avoid him unless he fell, right? If I had my roster filled out the way I wanted it, and then I could pick him up as like, hey, I'll pick him up as a bench guy who I'll never need to play in. If he gets hot, great. And maybe one of my other guys, or he is trade bait. If I was in a keeper league, I might draft him a little higher when I thought, hey, I could have value for years to come on this. And he's going to be great. And I'm getting him. If Rice is traditionally a third round pick and all of a sudden he falls to the 6th in a keeper league, then you get him because you've got him above value. But my problem is, and I don't know this is just anecdotal from me. I don't have any stats in front of me. It feels like when guys come back midseason from something like this, they're not like everybody else is in complete football shape and they've been going for 6 or 8 weeks and they're in the rhythm and they're never quite the receiver that it takes them to the following year to be themselves.
Yeah, I agree with that. I get that. I also get the angle that people are going to say that he's going to come back with a lot to prove, that he's grown from the incident, and and God forbid the Chiefs are struggling without him, he could become a huge target. My thing here is he's fallen 4 spots if you look at the big ranking since the news came out, and really he only dropped from 44 to 49. We usually talk in 12-team leagues, but I got to be honest, and I'd love to hear your opinion here because you're in a lot of leagues too. I think a lot of home leagues fall in that 10-team range. I think it's hard to find 12 guys. I think we have a lot of 10-team leagues too. So then you're kind of talking 4th round. You're talking fourth round in both. But you're talking a 4th round pick here for a guy who could be suspended at some point. I'm with you, Jimmy. I'm not going to waste a 4th round pick when you look at the receivers who surround him. Now, I get it. Rice is probably going to be the number 1 target in KC, where Devonta Smith is the number 2 target. Sutton's the number 1, though, at 45. He used to be under Rice in this, but now because of the drop, he's ahead of him. But right there with him at number 50 in the overall rankings is Zay Flowers. Flowers is a number 1 target. I'm going to go with Flowers over Rice right now, every day of the week. 17 games out of Flowers, or 16 in a fantasy season. Where Rice, we don't know what we're getting.
Yeah, and if you draft Rice and he ends up with a 6-game suspension, you're going to end up playing one of your backups for the first 6 games. And if that hurts you so much that you're behind the 8 ball, you're fine. That's why I say, like, there's a point where I think you can draft him because he's your backup, and to get him as a backup, there's huge value. But let some other sucker in your league take him way before they should, and kind of be stuck. So, I mean, that's my opinion on that. I'm in 10 and 12s, and a 10 that would be the 5th round. So I don't know if you want to call it. Maybe you start to get value around the 8th round. 3 rounds later. I wouldn't take him within 3 of what he said. And a lot of times you'll see that happen, right? Because it happens with injured players, not just suspended players. Well, like last year, where do you take Nick Chubb? Do you draft him? Do you take him in the 10th round if he's still there, not knowing if he's ever going to be Nick Chubb again? There's a couple players like that every year. But that's always but wait till you round out your roster. Don't use them as somebody you're counting on. And then
Jimmy, you just threw a great one out there, which, again, we'll do more fantasy deeper as we get a few weeks into preseason so we can see some injuries. But Chubb is a great sleeper right now with the Mixon injury in Houston.
Yeah.
Chubb can do anything close and throw away last year. He didn't really have a great offensive line, so they're crushing him for the 3.3 yards a carry. If Chubb gets anywhere near back to form, 2 years removed now from the injury almost?
Yeah, it was like game 2, I think, of 2 years ago. So almost
he could be a home run value at the very end of your draft. I'm talking, you can get this guy in right now in the 13th or 14th round, unless look, the problem with home leagues, which you play in, I play in a lot of best ball leagues at DraftKings. When you're in the internet leagues, I really think it's more of people who do this for a living. You get into a lot of those leagues, depending on the money you play for. Obviously, if you're in a $20 league, you might not be with the pros, but you get in those $200, $300, $500 leagues. I think it's a lot of professionals on that site. So you might have someone who's sharp who grabs Chubb before you. But in a home league, I would put them right down right now, round 13, 14, 15, and see if you can snag him. The only way you're going to lose him is if you got someone like Jimmy who still loves him because he was a Brown and wants to put him on the old roster. I'm telling you, sharp people are going to draft this guy at the end of drafts, throw him on the bench. He's going to be the starter. He's not going to be the starter in Houston. He's going to wind up being the starter. That's my take, at least.
Yeah, he very easily could. If he's anything like he was, even if Mixon is healthy, they'll at the very least share backfields, and there'll be games where you stick with a hot hand. I think that this is my take on end of draft in general. I either take someone who was once great and is now value has dropped because they might have a breakout or they might have something left in the tank, or I take someone young we don't know much about. What I don't like doing is taking a receiver that's been in the league for 6 years and we know what they are and they're not good, because you're not going to, what are you going to do with that pick? You're going to play them if your team is way down and out anyway, right? There's no way you're putting them in your lineup. They're just taking up a spot. So I like to go with either the unknown and someone young that we think can turn it on, or a veteran like this. For years, I drafted Larry Fitzgerald, where we thought he was washed up, and he had good years for me, right? I've done well with my oldness can't remember names. Their old tight end that played for the Eagles that's moved around, but played for Washington. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but same thing. Like, my point is, like, there's always somebody that we think is past their prime that comes out and has a good season, and you value in.
Talking about my Balzac Ertz?
Yes. Yeah.
That was my fantasy team name.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, that's a very good one. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I think people should share with us their best fantasy team names.
I agree. And hey, maybe, share that with us. There's a lot of smart fantasy players who listen to our show. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but right now, Joe Mixon is on the IR. And if they don't remove him from the IR by preseason, if he goes on the PUP list, he can't play until week 5. Is that correct? Or is it week 6?
I think it's 5. No, I think the PUP list puts you up 4. Yeah.
So if he doesn't come off IR, then you're definitely gonna get Chubb starting probably the first 4 games of the year. And if he gets the hot hand, it could be a rotation back there.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Hall of Fame game, my man. We failed you all. We apologize. We should have put out plays. I'll tell you, I got off to a good start. It's always good to get one under the belt. I had Chargers. I had the over. I had Chargers to throw 1+ passing TDs, and I had the Lions to throw an interception. So it was a great 4-0 start. I was very happy. Normally I lose the Hall of Fame game, but this one, we got off to a good start, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, Allen just loves throwing the ball to the defense, so that worked out pretty well for you. Had that interception in quick, and then if that wasn't good enough, they said, "Hey, I'll give you another one in case the sportsbook didn't catch that first one." And the Chargers were good. I will tell you, I only watched the first quarter because the intrigue I had and I had to get to watch Animal House, of course, afterwards. But the only intrigue I had was Trey Lance, and he looked good.
He did look good.
I know it's the preseason, it's the Hall of Fame. It's not even really preseason, but I mean, he had touch on the ball. He looked right. He was a great athlete and was going to work out well in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And he had a cannon, but he didn't have a lot of touch. He looked really, really good. I mean, they signed him for 1 year for $2 million. I mean, he hasn't played much football in his life. I mean, he played 17 games in college. He's played like 5 pro games, so he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on his body. This is his opportunity to show that he could go somewhere and play. And he looked really good, so I was happy for him.
He looked fantastic, and I love how Harbaugh left him in, even in the third quarter. He looked great, and he's competing with Heineke for the backup. I'll tell you what, the Chargers' QB room is going to be one of the best in the league if it's Lance, Heineke, and Herbert, because I still think Herbert can be a top 5 to 7 quarterback if they really unleash the passing offense and they have a few weapons now and they develop those receivers. Herbert throws a great ball.
Beautiful.
He just hasn't really had any receive. Well, look, McConkey was great last year, but he's not he had Allen and what's it? Oh my God, why am I blind? Now I'm doing what you did. I just had him. He went to the Jets last year. Now he's back with
Mike Williams.
Williams. Thank you. And he had Mike Williams the first couple of years of his career, and those were two legit threats.
Yeah. No, he did. He's got a hell of an arm, and he's really athletic too. Same thing. He's got to stay. He gets nicked. Everybody gets nicked up, but he gets nicked up to like where it's noticeable. He's got his fingers taped together. He's got a knee, and so if he can stay healthy, and they do unleash him, I think they'll be really good. Harbaugh, everybody knows his MO, wants to pound the ball, wants to play defense. So we'll see if he lets them loose. But I think they learned something from last year at the end of the season there, and they're going to have to stay on top of it. And going to have to score some points. So I mean, I know they let the big comeback, but we'll see. We'll see. I think it's time to take that next step, and I think they will.
And I felt the absolute opposite about the Lions and Dan Campbell. It's like if Goff goes down, you are fucked, my man. I don't know what's going to happen. And if I was the Lions with Hutchinson coming back, the defense is like healthy now. That defense could be something this year, and no one's going to see it coming because if that D's good and the offense is what it is, the Lions are going to win 14, 15 games again, and everyone's going to be like, oh, damn, I thought this was the year they might have taken a step back.
Yeah, they really do need another. Hey.
But they need a backup. If Goff gets hurt, they are screwed.
They're
Jimmy.
done. Yeah, Kyle Allen. Remember, Kyle Allen came in and replaced Cam Newton that one year in Carolina. It looked like he might be a real starter, and then turns out he is not. Yeah, Hooker. I don't know. They need to sign a veteran backup. I mean, I know he's on the Browns, but they should have signed a Joe Flacco, somebody that can come in there with veteran presence that can fling the ball around should something happen to Jared Goff. Like, they need someone like that. Yeah, they don't have him. So hope Jared stays healthy.
Yeah, Hooker's 27 now, but he had some flashes in the pan at Tennessee, like where he put up some big numbers. So I don't know, maybe Hooker could go in there and do. I'll be interested to see a little bit more of Hooker in the preseason, see if he hops over Allen for the backup role, which he very well could.
He might, but he threw a pick too, and he must have been playing against the 5 squad at that point in the game on the Chargers. So yeah, who knows?
But remember this when you're watching preseason, everyone. When the quarterback is playing against the 5s, his receivers are also the 5s. Right, so
they're making the wrong cuts. There was the one out route that Allen threw the pick on. It was a bad pass, but the receiver completely didn't do him any favors. As the pass is coming, he starts fading up the field almost, and it's getting cut off, and it was clearly an out route. He should have been coming back for it, but yeah.
All right. I want to lead this in as we'll go over a couple divisions, how we end the show this time, and then we'll next show we'll do more of this. We'll dive in a little more. I want to go back to kind of where we ended the last show because I don't want to say we rushed through it, but I want to dive a little deeper. I think the AFC West is going to be one of the most intriguing divisions this year. And I already said on the last show, I think it's the Chargers' year. I think they're the value play. I like them just a little bit better than the Broncos. I think the Broncos' defense could be something special. After, a week here since our last one, do you still agree with the majority? Do you think this is just KC just wins because they're KC again? Or do you think after looking into it a little bit more that the Broncos or Chargers really could take this from them?
I think the Chargers could potentially take it from them. I think that the Broncos are going to be on the outside looking in of the playoffs. I think KC could win the division, but they could also be the wild card in the Chargers. I think the 3 wild cards, 2 are coming out of the North, 1 is coming out of the West. I still believe that. But I'll tell you, I was posed an interesting question by one of our friends, Jeff, who every year there's somebody that makes it into the playoffs that isn't on the preseason favorites to be in the playoffs in the wild card. So I'm going to ask you that. What team, and it could be because I'm assuming you think it's coming out of the West, is that team for you, the Broncos?
No, I think if somebody comes out of nowhere that's off the radar, it's going to be, and we're talking way off the radar. That's what Jeff wants to know?
Yeah, just who's the team that, everybody's talking about Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and probably the Texans. So who's the team that aren't one of those teams that you think, hey, this is the team that nobody's talking about that's good, that has the best chance to be it? I know mine, because I'm asking you yours.
He wants an AFC team?
Yeah, sure, either one.
Okay, so if we're going to the AFC, I'll give you a couple that could surprise us. Patriots, for sure, which I think people don't know what to make of the Patriots. I don't think the Colts are as bad as everybody thinks. Okay, and if Richardson comes back healthy, I think that could be one that jumps up and surprises us. Those are probably my top two. And then the intriguing one here, right, is obviously the Steelers. No one knows what to make of the Steelers. Is Metcalf going to be a thing with Rodgers? Is the defense going to be dominant? Could the Steelers sneak up on us? They could, but I love TJ Watt. I've always said that. But remember, when you go back and look at TJ Watt's games, he's almost like dominant or not there. It's feast or famine with TJ. So let's see. Those would be my three, though. Patriots, Steelers, Colts. But in the NFC, Jimmy, I think the two that are really being overlooked, because I'm not going to put the Panthers in being overlooked anymore because too many people are shouting them out.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's on that train now.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys with Dak back healthy, putting Pickens there to take a little pressure off of CD. That offense, I don't know what the defense is going to bring, but that offense could be something. And then I just got this funny feeling that the Cards are going to do something in the West.
Yeah, so I like the Cards pick in the West. I'm with you there. My long shot, and we sort of touched on this, but I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to give you, and I know this is crazy, but I think the team that's potentially a wildcard team at the end of the year are the Raiders. I look, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, they've got history. They've played well. They've drafted Gentry. Last I checked, Max Crosby's still there. They're going to bring a professionalism and an actual experience to that, and nobody's talking about them. I know Brady's not playing and he's just a part owner, but I think that could be the team that we're not talking about in the West, because we're talking about the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Broncos that could shock us. And I know that's probably crazy, but Geno did it when he was in Seattle and he shocked us, right? When they moved on for Russell Wilson, we said, what are they thinking? He played with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll doesn't have a lot of time left, right? He's the oldest coach in the league. I think he's going to come in and try to whip this thing into shape quickly. And I don't think he would have took the job if he didn't see something there.
It's a good take. Only because the division they play in, it would be shocking to me. Look, I just don't know if they have the supporting cast. And part of that supporting cast on this team, unfortunately, is the quarterback. Geno didn't have a great season last year in Seattle. He's got Jacoby Myers as his number one, who I think Jacoby's a good receiver. Is he dominant? I don't know. He's got Bowers, who's a fantastic tight end. The running back that's coming in from Boise is going to be something special. On the defensive side, Max Crosby is one of my favorite players in the NFL, and he is dominant, and he's one of the players that I think shows up just about every game. But I don't know if he has the supporting cast either. If they played in the AFC South, I tell you, you know what, Jimmy, I think you're right. I would take a shot on them. The fact that they play in the West, I think might be their downfall.
No, and I think you're probably right. To be clear, that's why they're not favored. That's why we're not talking about them. But that was the thought process, and why the question came up was every year somebody gets in that nobody expected. There's always a wild card team that they're like, oh, look at that, right? And they generally get hammered in the first round of playoffs or something happens. But there's always a team that you didn't. Hey, it happened. The Browns were in the playoffs 2 years ago. Nobody had that happening with Flacco. So there's always somebody that makes it that nobody expects, and that's why I'm going that route. Because if we're looking at teams that nobody expect, they have the third longest odds to make it, or almost. Yeah, I just think I say yeah, all right. That might be where I was. That might be if my long shot.
So here's the thing. This is why NFL is so great, right? If you look at the odds just to make the playoffs, you take out the bottom four teams. Let's take out the Titans too. You take out the bottom 5 teams. The Raiders are only plus 330 to make the playoffs. It's not like they're 50-1. You know what I mean? So that's why I love the NFL. The parity is just awesome. So, and you never know. So yeah, it's not an awful take by you. But you know what? Hey, I mean, if you're telling me, if you want to lock in right now that they are going to, and let me go back, I was just on that screen, that you want to lock in the Raiders to win the division, and you're going to throw a ticket in getting, what would they be, plus 20-1. I will tip my freaking hat to you, my friend, if that comes through. That is a bet. That's a
That
bet.
would be a bet. Look, at 20-1, I might throw $10 on it and see what happens, but I'm not making a big play, that's for sure.
Put $100 on it. I'll be very proud of you if that hits.
Yeah, that would be a good one. But anyway, yeah, that's why I tied that roundabout way that question into this, because it related back to the West. I just the West and obviously the North are just, I mean, to me, and I think to most people, are just so much more interesting than the South and the East, right? Like, it's like you've got Buffalo, and after that, maybe the Jets and Aaron Glenn, and something will happen to make some noise. Maybe Tua stays healthy, and maybe the Patriots take that next step this year, with Vrabel, at the helm. And then the South is god awful. I mean, the Texans, I'd like to see CJ Stroud play well. I couldn't care less about anything Jacksonville, Florida related. Okay, Trevor, like, let's see. Anyway, we can go deeper into those, but those two divisions, and that's why I think we're back talking about the West, because it's just going to be great, and those teams are going to beat the shit out of each other this year.
I agree.
Yeah, that's why the unders in the totals, I think, like we thought, like there's a good shot, because they're gonna split a lot of these mark 3 losses off for each one right away.
No, I agree. All right, let's end the show with previewing one more division, and that's the NFC East. That's where we're on now. So obviously the overwhelming favorite here is the Eagles, coming off the Super Bowl, followed by Washington, Dallas, and then the lowly Giants. So first team, the Cowboys here. Look, they weren't as terrible as everybody thinks they were last year. They were 7-10, 7-10 against the spread. Brian Schottenheimer takes over. Schedule is, unfortunately for them, the 10th toughest in the league. They got at Philly. They get, like, the big highlights on the schedule. They go to Denver. They get Arizona at home. They go to Carolina, which will be a pick'em game. They get Kansas City at home. I think that's the Thanksgiving Day game, I believe. Then they get at Detroit, which will be tough. Minnesota and the Chargers at home. The schedule isn't as bad as it looks. Green Bay, they get at home. This isn't a terrible schedule. I know it's listed as the 10th toughest, probably because the Eagles going to Detroit but a lot of these tough teams, they do get at home. What's your initial thought on the Cowboys? We get 60-1 right now on the Super Bowl, 28-1 in the NFC is one of the best numbers out there, and then 6-1 to win the conference. The projection here is 8.5 wins.
Look, I think the over win total, like you said, they're going to play all the division opponents. They have the ability to split with. They could beat, I think the Giants are going to be better than we think. We'll talk about them in a second. But I think they could potentially split the division, because even if Philadelphia is the overwhelming favorite, they're always really tough games. Washington's good. They're tough games. And then, like you said, they get some of those other games at home, and they've got some games they should just absolutely win. They're on the road for the Jets. They should win that. I know people love Carolina. They're on the road to Carolina. They should win that. They're on the road at Vegas. I just talked about them. I think they're going to be good, but they should theoretically be able to win that game. So no, I think 8.5. I would take the over on that. Would I take them to win the division? What's the odds on that?
They are 6-1 in a lot of places. DraftKings, I know you have an account there, so 5.5 to 1 right now live.
I got to tell you, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think from a value standpoint, there's more value in that than going the other directions. So I might, because you just don't know what you're going to get. And the problem with Dallas is there's so much bullshit surrounding Dallas at the beginning of every season right now with the Micah Parsons stuff. But it's every year, right? It never ends. They did Dak sign him on the first day. There's somebody every year. They did with CD. It's not out of, this is just who they are. It's not out of. So I don't really take that into account when I'm thinking about what they're going to be through the course of the season. And you have to assume that the Michael Parsons deal gets done and he's going to be playing football.
Yeah, he'll be. Yeah, he's going to play. Yeah, he'll be there.
So I don't think it's terrible value if everybody's healthy and all things are equal. Their defense should, as long as he's there, should be at least decent. They, like I said, they added the receiver from Pittsburgh, Pickens.
Pickens is a good addition.
So
very good addition.
Yeah, I don't think it's terrible value.
All right, you brought up the Giants. We are on much different sides of the coin here, so I'll go first, and then I'll turn it over to you. Last year they were 3-14. They were 5-12 against the spread. They have the hardest schedule in the NFL this year. Win total is 5.5 at most places. I would slam the under. If you can find this market in your state, I would bet Brian Dable to be the first coach fired this year. I don't think this team wins 4 games. I wouldn't be shocked if they only won 3 again, if not 2. This is the schedule. At Washington, good luck. At Dallas, good luck. Kansas City at home, good luck. Chargers at home, good luck. Saints, but on the road. And the Saints, they both could be 0-4 in that game. Philly at home, at Denver, at Philly, San Francisco at home, at Chicago, Green Bay at home, at Detroit, at New England, Washington at home, Minnesota at home, at Vegas, who you think might not be bad, Dallas at home. Find me 6 wins here, Jimmy, please.
Yeah, look, based on history, it would be really, really tough. If you were going to make an argument for them, it's that Russell Wilson generally wins, even though he might not get it done in the big moments. Tracy had a really nice year starting to come on as running back, and Malik Neighbors has a very good chance to be a top 3 receiver if he gets reasonable quarterback play. So, like, if you look at it in a vacuum, they've got a decent running back, they've got maybe an absolute great receiver, and they've got a veteran quarterback to give him the ball, and they've got a coach that can coach him. I'm not saying I'm going to take this bet. I'm saying that would be the argument from Giants fans, right? Based on those items, it's really tough for us to not have some hope. But believe me, everybody around here is aware of exactly what you talked about. There's how tough their schedule is, and they're all preparing for a really long season.
Yeah, Abdul Carter was a great draft pick. I mean, he is a perfect Giant. He is going to be your next Michael Strahan, and you can go through the list of great Giant defenders. I won't bore you with that, but he's going to be the next one. And I like him for defensive player, rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. He's the odds-on favorite, but I like him to win that award. But I'm telling you right now, you can write this down. I don't think there's a bet out there. If there's a Will Jackson Dart start a game this year, slam the yes. Jackson Dart will be your starting quarterback at Chicago, 11-9, if not sooner. Wouldn't shock me if he's starting 10-19 at Denver. Russell Wilson will not be the quarterback of this team. The plug will be pulled. Jackson Dart will be the quarterback to get experience. He was a great draft pick. You know my love for Jackson Dart. I think he was one of the most underrated quarterbacks in college. I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. Look, and I'm not taking a shot at Russell Wilson here. He's past his prime, obviously. He is a great quarterback. He had a great career. You could throw Joe Montana on this team. You could throw Peyton Manning on this team. They're not winning 6 games.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
It's schedule based. And if this was the 32, if this was the easiest schedule and they had this team and this lineup, I'd say, hey, you know what, Jimmy? Maybe you're right. Maybe they do win 8 games, 9 games. Maybe they sneak in as a wild card because their schedule is balanced and fair. This schedule is impossible. Everything goes against them.
No, I agree. And look, I have no feeling for the Giants. I don't like the Giants or dislike the Giants. I can't think of anything I just couldn't care less about. And that's how I feel about the New York Giants. When they're good, I'm not mad at them. And when they're bad, I don't care. I have no feeling for them whatsoever. So I can look at this pretty, without any emotion tied to it. And I would say you're probably right. Now, look, is there some wild thing that could happen and they get hot, or Jackson Dart comes in and they hook up and Abdul Carter is the rookie of the year and they go 10-7? Could happen. I wouldn't bet on it, right? So I'm with you.
Let's go Commanders, and we'll end with the Eagles. So the Commanders are the 7th best power ranked team right now. They were 14-6 last year, obviously including the playoffs. 12-7 and a push against the spread, again including the playoffs. Dan Quinn's second year, strength of schedule. They actually have the 6th toughest schedule in the league. Win total projection is 9.5. Whew, what do you think here?
I think they need to get the Terry McLaurin situation patched
call.
up as quick.
Very good call.
As quick as they can. I think if they can do that, and I think they will, right? So all this talk about, are other teams going to start vulturing, seeing that there's problems, and come try to give them an offer that they can't refuse? I don't think they will. They'd have to blow. They're not going to get a first round for a 30-year-old guy. They might get a second round for him, but I don't think they're going to risk Jaden Daniels' development over that. They signed Debo, but he's not a deep threat, right? He's what he is the perfect complement to Terry McLaurin, right? So they need to figure this out with Terry McLaurin, whatever that number looks like. He's been nothing but a great teammate, model citizen. Think about the quarterbacks he had to play with. He made Heineke look good, right? Like so figure it out, sign him. you're not paying your quarterback a ton of money yet. You have the cap space. Make it happen, Washington. If they can do that, I think the 9.5 is it sounds almost too good to be true.
So this is no shock. I love Jaden Daniels. I picked him to win the Heisman that one year at 10-1. I loved him last year. I said he was going to be good. He might get this team to the playoffs. I wound up being right there. He's an amazing athlete, and I think there's going to be no step back. I know you like sophomore year, you get a little squeamish on if they'll be as good. I think he's only going to get better. Their schedule is very, very hard, but I think he will get it done if, with that disclaimer that Jimmy just said, it's a great take, McLaurin is there. My take on McLaurin is this. Normally, I sit here in August and I say, get to work. You're in a contract. McLaurin is undervalued, and he knows it, and the Commanders better realize it real quick. This guy is a top receiver in the league, and because he plays for Washington for some reason, he doesn't get the recognition he probably deserves. He's a top 5 receiver. He's definitely a top 10. I would not yell at anyone who says he's top 5. He catches everything. Everything. This guy, if he was on the right team in the right market, we'd be putting him right up there with JJ and Chase and all those guys, and CD and all those guys.
Yeah, his numbers are basically like DK Metcalf, like identical. Like he's 30 years old. And I don't think he wants more money. He just wants an extension. He's in the last year of his deal, which a lot of guys do. So he's looking for an extension. The debate is he looking for that DK Metcalf type money, or is he looking for Justin Jefferson type money? And what's the in between? So I hope they get him signed. I think he's great for the team. He's great for a young quarterback. It's really the first bad news we've heard come out of Washington since the beginning of last year. Everything else has been sunshine and rainbows down there. So it'll be interesting. But
look, it's hard for me and Jimmy to talk good about a Buckeye. So he's good if we're sitting here saying, hey, pay the guy.
Yeah, 100%.
But quickly running through their schedule. Giants at home, then they go to Green Bay, challenging game. They get a little reprieve, I think, with Vegas at home, then at Atlanta. But then they have to go to the Chargers, tough game. At KC, tough game. Detroit at home, rematch. Detroit is going to want to beat them up for what happened in the playoffs last year. So that is going to be a fun game to watch on the 9th of November. They get Denver at home, another tough game. There's good and bad here, Jimmy. The good news is they have a tough schedule. The bad news is they have a tough schedule, but the good news is they're still going to be favored in the majority of these games.
Yeah, they got a couple things that break their way. I know the Dolphins aren't obviously going to be a power, so we're not picking them to be, but they get the Dolphins in mid-November after the heat. They get Green Bay in early September before it's cold. So the couple of their road games are favorable from a weather perspective for them. And I know they know how to play in cold weather because Washington gets cold and Washington gets hot, but you're still avoiding the home teams when they have their major advantages, those parts of the year, and a couple of them. So 2 of their road games that I think are very, very winnable. I like the total. I think I'd probably go over. I mean, I don't see a world in which they, God forbid, it stands for any team though. I'm going to stop saying that. Anytime we're talking here, it obviously means if their quarterback stays healthy, right? Any bet we make is not, right. So I'm going to stop. So yes, I think if everything is kosher, they're going to win 10 games this year.
All right, let's end it with the Eagles here. They're the odds-on favorite to win the conference, third choice to win the Super Bowl. They won it last year. They were 18-3 straight up, 14-7 against the spread. Sirianni in his 5th year. They're the number 1 power ranked team. They have the 8th toughest schedule in the league. Their win total is 11.5. I am a hard under here myself. I'll give you my division pick in a minute, but I think this could be a step back year for the Eagles. I think they'll make the playoffs, obviously. But I would never take them at these odds to win the division, to win the Super Bowl, to win the conference. What about you?
Yeah, I'm avoiding the Eagles altogether. I could see them going 12-5. I think, as that Vegas typically does, they nailed this number at 11.5 to really make us guess it out. But I think they take a step back. I mean, I would be for sure a no on them winning the Super Bowl. I would not take them at even or minus money to win the division. I think we just got done breaking down Washington, how good they could potentially be. Dallas, I think, has enough talent to surprise anybody. And in football, where you're only a couple of unfortunate errors away from it not happening, I'm not going to. The Bills are the only one where I would ever consider laying juice. for the division. I'm not going to do it with the Eagles minus 130. If that was plus 180, I might consider it. But at minus 130, there's not a chance.
Yeah, I don't like their schedule after the bye. That's why I'm not laying 130, and I don't like their win total because, again, they could get off to a good start. They really could. I mean, the game at Kansas City it'll be close to a pick, probably Kansas City, maybe a small favorite, but it's winnable. Obviously, they go to Tampa. They'll probably be a small favorite there again, but it's winnable. And all their other games, they're going to be favored in all their games, but Kansas City before the bye. After the bye, at Green Bay, home to Detroit. Detroit will be up for that game. At Dallas, that Dallas will want to murder them. Home against Chicago. Chicago is going to be better than everybody thinks. They could be in a dogfight for the playoffs at that point. At the Chargers, who will be battling for a playoff spot. Vegas at home. Okay, probably a win. At Washington, at Buffalo, Washington at home. I think Washington, 2 out of the last 3 games, that's rough. And I think it's rough more on the Eagles because you're expected to win than the Commanders.
Yeah.
And Buffalo at Buffalo, sandwiched in the middle.
Yeah. And when you don't want to be in Buffalo, that's right.
Right. Because,
unlike Washington, which I think this is the wrong time to be in Buffalo.
But not just because it's cold, because that could be the game Buffalo wraps up the 1 seed.
Good. There you go.
So for me, my NFC picks that I'm putting out, the way I see the conference going is Washington 1 plus the money. Eagles 2, they make the playoffs. They're a wild card. Dallas 3rd, just misses the playoffs, and the Giants are horrific. How about you?
I agree with the Giants, obviously. I'll go with your pick. I was going to do a hot take and say Dallas takes out Philadelphia this year for the second, but I'll stick with you on this one.
And hey, that's a great pick. So, I mean, if you're playing the exactas, which are out there, not a bad way to make a little money because you're going to get a very good odds on a Washington, Dallas, Philly, Giants exacta for this.
Yeah, it could happen.
Just exact order. All right, everyone. We'll get to more divisions on the next show. Thank you for listening. Again, if you like the show, hit the follow or subscribe button, and please send the show to a friend. Recommend us. Follow us on X and Instagram at Whoyagot33 as we'll post great picks in between shows. And now you can watch us on YouTube. As you can see at the bottom here, if you're watching, you can see we are at Whoyagot33 on YouTube. Please check out our channel and subscribe to us. If you don't have time to listen to the whole hour and 20-minute show, we put up some great clips throughout the week. And you can also check us out, KC Sports Authority. We will be helping them out. They'll be helping us out, so you might see us on some of their shows. So check out their YouTube channel too. And as always, please keep sending us your comments and questions at whoyagot33@gmail.com. Jimmy, any final words?
5 weeks till kickoff.
Yep, I kind of agree. That's kind of my final words too. So good luck, everybody. Look for our picks. We'll try to get you home with cash and some tickets this week. And remember, it's never under till it's over.